Media presents Rumble vs. the Airwaves, a music, nostalgia, gaming, and culture podcast brought to you weekly by Overmorrow Production and Sound. I'm Tim, and here's Rumble.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Rumble vs. the Airwaves. Today we have Will Birdwell. Will, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hi. I'm Will. I guess I do a lot of things. I compose music. I engineer and produce music. Trying to be an entrepreneur these days. Play in a band called Side Piece, and then I release some of my own stuff on my own under just my last name, Birdwell.
Hell yeah. So tell us about what you're working on right now.
Like I said, I have my band Side Piece. It's kind of a weird experiment of like doom and two-step and shoegaze and beatdown and weird noise stuff, and so that's kind of been a fun experiment. And then working on a lot of projects for other bands, engineering, and then we're in the middle of trying to open our first studio. So,
Awesome. So we've been seeing a lot about the Raven, this makerspace for music. Can you tell us about what a makerspace is?
Yeah, so it was actually really cool. I heard about a makerspace in Tampa, and I checked it out, and it's kind of like this lab, if you will, where you have all sorts of cool technology. In this case, they have a bunch of different tools. They got like CNC machinery, they got lasers for different things, they got wood cutting stuff, all sorts of different types of things. And what it is a place where you can get educated and trained up on how to use that equipment, and you can make your own stuff. And I thought about that, and kind of in my travels, touring and things, I saw some other concepts similar to that, like small business incubators, pop-up rows for restaurants and shops and stuff. And I thought about it, and I was like, how come musicians don't have that? Like, it takes a lot of resources to put out music, right? We need gear. We need a place to do it. We need a place to play. We need someone to engineer. We need, all this kind of stuff, right? And so I figured, DIY is becoming really popular, and I'm certainly thankful that I've had a lot of opportunities to facilitate a lot of DIY opportunities myself. And so I thought about it. I'm like, what if we made a place where, in the spirit of DIY, we equipped musicians with all the tools and resources they need to go from creating a band, rehearse that band, record a single, put the single out, and perform your music, So we're really excited. We're moving at a pretty good pace with that. But a makerspace as a whole, if you think about like a gym, it's a place where you go and use all that stuff to make your body better. A makerspace, you go there to use all their gear to make something for yourself. So we're just trying to take that to the next step. A makerspace for music is a place where you go to create your musical ideas.
Sure. Can you tell us about like what services will be provided there? What kind of gear will be provided?
Yeah, so services that we're working on right now. Of course, we have rehearsal space. We have hopefully 3 of those rooms, and they're pretty large. And then also in that, one of those rooms is actually a showcase room, so that'll be also kind of like a DIY performance space that you can reserve. And then that'll also double as event space in the daytime, so things like holding classes for different things. And then along with that, we also have a 4th studio, which will be like a production studio. So in that kind of aspect, if you have maybe tracks that you've recorded yourself, or you've never had the chance to listen in a real professional, acoustically treated environment, you can come into our production studio and use our gear, our plugins, whatever, and get your piece mixed and ready to go. In that same area, we also have my good friend Carl with his business, Junk Dog Studios, and he's going to be doing instrument repair, so guitars, basses, drums, amps, all sorts of little goodies like that. We also have a pro shop, so we'll have strings, sticks, drum heads, some other little accessories for sale. So I'm really excited about that because, I know we've all been to Guitar Center. We all go to Sam Ash, and it's like, man, this kind of sucks, right? So making some of those basic things that we get at those stores available at ours too kind of cuts out some of that hassle. What else we got going on? I'm really excited about this thing that I just found out about from a guy called Punk Rock Teacher, and he's got this cool thing called the Punk Rock Pantry, and I'm super thrilled to get on board with this idea. And so what this is like a resource box, like a community resource box, because I know what it's like to be doing art as a whole, and sometimes it can be rough. So there's going to be food supplies in there, there's going to be health supplies in there, there's going to be kind of like the grab bag for if you're just really hard up on times, and hopefully that's just a service that we can provide to the community. I think that's important to do. That we're going to have the resources to be able to do that. So I just want to make something like that available. We're also going to be exploring some education options. And so for that, we're starting with a homeschool co-op, like distance learning, homeschool, virtual, whatever you do. The idea is that, I got my start professionally in music, getting paid to do something having to do with music by teaching in a co-op for homeschoolers. And it was kind of a neat experience because not only do they get to share with them about music, but also, there is a social aspect that those kids need and they miss out on. And so being able to like be in an environment in a school like that, that kind of makes that happen was really neat. So now it's kind of coming full circle. We can provide a homeschool co-op. So I know in Florida it's popular right now. Parents got the vouchers for things. And so as an educator myself, been teaching for a while, we're going to purchase a Florida Standards curriculum for general music, and that'll be good for grades 7 through 12. And so the idea is that, students will come for one day a week, and they'll be able to get instructed and get their credits that go towards their high school diploma. So that's really cool. Just trying to offer a bunch of different things that I know not a lot of other places do, but also just something that we feel is more like community oriented. I really wanted it to feel more like it's not a place that you come and like you pay your money and you get your time and you do your thing and then you leave, right? I really wanted this place to feel more like a hub, like a community center that like if you're an active musician in the community or you want to be in that community, then that's just a place you're going to congregate at. It's a place that you're going to actively seek out and do things at, right? We're going to hold classes and workshops and all that good stuff. We're trying to make those free. I wanted to just be a place that, like I said, just that buzz, that energy that we see down in like downtown St. Pete, in like the Arts District, or like in Tampa, in the Ybor area, like it'd be cool to have that in Pasco. So that's what we're trying to do.
I'm curious, is this going to be something that's, you're obviously going to need like staff to like maintain and stuff like that, or is this going to be more of like maintained by the public?
So yeah, we are going to have some staff. I do have a couple people on staff already that are kind of my right and left hands. So we are creating some jobs for the community, which is exciting. And my goal, hopefully, is that we can grow this enough to where we're going to expand to a second building as well. And that second building will actually be like a dedicated performance space. And certainly within that, absolutely, we would need even more staff, between the operation, the tech side, having some door security, if we do concessions of any type, drinks, food, whatever. So like all those kinds of things too, of course I want to employ people. I think it's important to try to, build our community in that way too. We always talk about like, support the scene. And it's like, well, at the end of the day, like we all know the reality of it is money talks, right? So if I can do my part to create some jobs and help people as well, then like I'm happy to do so.
Sure. I'm curious about the performing aspect of it. A big problem in the local scene is, bands driving, especially here in Pasco. You got to go to Tampa or St. Pete or even farther to play a show.
Yep.
So now we have a place that we can play in our hometown. Is this going to be a place where bands can make money, or is this more of a...
So my goal with that is that, Our fee structure is membership based, right? So, that's based on the individual. And then if you're in a band, you get a group discount, which I think is a pretty significant discount, because my goal is to encourage bands to sign up, right? So with that being said, if you're going to host an event, I want you to make money.
Right.
Like, I absolutely do. I'm not charging you to hold that space because you're already a member of that community, right? That's the whole point, is you're buying into those resources, right? So it already is your space to do with as you will, right? So there will be a calendar, kind of like a reservation process, just so that way it doesn't get overloaded.
Sure.
But, the idea will be that if you're a band there and you want to do a show, cool, it's your show. And whatever you want to charge, if you feel like, hey, look, it's a small capacity event, so everything is like sold out all the time, then you know what? Charge the $25 a ticket. If you feel that your music is worth that, then do it. If you want to make a $5 punk show, do it. If you want it to be free, I don't care. Okay. It's your space. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
The idea is that when you're making the choice to like buy into this community and use these resources, like, they become yours. We're sharing in that. It's like, it's a co-op, right?
Yeah.
So, my goal is that it kind of initially remains a privilege for musicians to book that, right? So, like, I'm not looking for outside promoters to buy a membership just so that they can promote shows, right?
Yeah, that'd be
my goal is that, you're a musician already that plays here, that practices here, that records here, whatever, and you're using this resource for your band and your guest bands, whatever, so yeah, my goal is always to empower us, so yeah, make money. I don't care. Sell merch. Do whatever you got to do.
Totally. So as far as like accessibility, obviously there's a membership fee. Is this place like 24/7? Like, you can come whenever you need?
Yep. So it will be 24/7. In terms of access, we have a couple of different ways that will be. So we will have some normal office hours. Like I said, we do have the daytime thing. In terms of, like I said, Carl's going to be there, doing instrument repair and stuff. I'm going to be there, certainly. So during the daytime, it's open, whatever. As we kind of get in towards like the after hours bit, everyone who's a member is going to have a fob of some sort. I don't know yet if we're going completely digital, where it's like it's a token on your phone, or if it's a tangible one that I give you. We're still kind of weighing the cost benefit versus like all digital versus not. But either way, you'll be able to have a personalized key to get in to any of the studios that you're eligible for. And the reason I say that is our memberships are tiered. So in that production studio side of things, right, an engineer, a producer, a rapper, a SoundCloud artist, a singer-songwriter maybe doesn't want rehearsal space, right, but they want to get studio access. Cool. So the cool thing with that token also is we can secure access to things, right? So producers and rappers and engineers, they get access to the just production studio. Musicians, they get access to rehearsal spaces and maybe production studio if they want it, right? But yeah, you'll be able to do 24/7 access. The only ones who won't will be students in that co-op. So pretty much if you are a minor, you'll be restricted to not being able to access 11 p.m. through 8 a.m.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, of course, safety. If I can't guarantee the safety of integrity of everybody, then I'm going to just put safeguards in place, and that's one of them. In terms of like events that we hold, that's kind of like special scenarios. So, access is a little bit different there, but that'll be kind of like the general public, right? If they're coming to see a show, of course, we want them to kind of linger, mill around, whatever. So, like, we'll open things up then. It kind of just, it is more the common sense of things, right? If we know it's a time where it's pretty much just normal business and people are doing what they do, then yeah, office hours and private access, right? And then if we have a special event, you can kind of come and go as you please. So,
okay. There is a resource that I know of in this general area up at the Hudson Library Studio H. And that's a place, you have your library card, you can go, but they only let you go 2 hours twice a month is their rule there. I'm wondering how your system compares to that.
Right. So with ours, we feel that we have enough resources that we shouldn't really tap out too early like that. We do have blocks of time that are reserved. They are in 2 and 4 hour block increments.
Okay.
If you were doing something special, right? Like if you said, hey, look, Will, we're trying to actually do some tracking today for like an EP, and we wanted to see if we get the room all day. Okay, cool. Like, I'll just put it in. We can do it. It's not a big deal. Again, it's your space, right?
Right.
Just takes a little communication. That's all.
Sure.
But in terms of like using our online resource, the website, to book your time manually, it'll be 2 and 4 hour blocks, right? Between 3 studios worth, and knowing kind of the existing habits and statistics of like the usage of the other studios in the area, right? I kind of get a good feeling that we'll have enough going on between 24/7 access and having multiple rooms that we should have a lot less overlap than anticipated. If we find that it is that crowded, that's actually a positive, right? That means, cool, we need to plan for expanding sooner than we thought, right?
Yeah.
So I'll take that. If we're running out of space that quick, that's amazing, because to start a business, right? Most people who start a business, their total revenue potential is X, right? And most people don't even achieve 10% of that, right? So if I'm tapping out within like 2 months of opening, that's fantastic. Let's do that, Like, I challenge that to happen. So, but yeah, we should have enough resources that everybody should be satisfied. And if not, then we will aggressively pursue more. It's that simple. If we're doing great, then like let's go make it greater.
Yeah, for sure. Something I'm curious about is as far as like the recording studios go. I'm 20 years old, and I can speak for a lot of my peers when I say that a lot of the gear I own is really shitty. And you don't want your production to sound shitty because you have shitty gear. What kind of gear are you providing to the young recording musician who can't afford nice guitars and amps?
So I am really excited to say that in terms of our performance in our rehearsal spaces, we're doing all like the Boss Katana line, which is a more affordable product, but I mean it does speak for itself. It sounds fantastic. A lot of people are very happy with it. I'm very pleased with it. I'm certainly loud enough to compete with any drummer.
Yeah.
So we're going to have those in every one of our rehearsal rooms. 2 guitar amps and the bass combo. So like the whole line. And drums. I know we were talking about Gretsch before we started, but I am a Gretsch drum fan. So we'll probably try to go with Gretsch just because I've always had good luck with those. They sound fantastic. They're very durable.
Very versatile too.
Very versatile. Like it's great for a lot of different sounds. A lot of different people will enjoy them, In terms of our recording setup, so we are going to be a Mac-based studio. I've been a Mac person since I was like 12. Yeah. It's just something I'm super comfortable with and super fluent in. I am a super huge fan right now of Universal Audio products. So we are going to be very proudly offering the entire Universal Audio Spark suite. We may opt for some of the additional hardware emulation stuff because we are going to do, I think we're going to go with like an Apollo Twin for like an interface. Not that it's designed for that studio to be somewhere where you do recording, right? It's really more for mix down. But by getting an interface like that, it opens up the world of we can use like the Unison plugins and stuff in that suite as well, which will really allow for your mixes to sound mint. Yeah. So with that, of course, monitoring is just as important, right? So we haven't quite selected which monitoring setup we're going to go with yet. We're between a couple, but it will be a very premium monitoring setup. We're also going to double up on that with Waves NX. I've been using Waves NX personally, which is basically an aural simulator. I had the pleasure of working in one of the studios that's in there. in that suite called Germano Studios. It used to be called Hit Factory in New York City. Is where I did one of my first internships when I was in college. And when I put the headphones on and I turned that on, I had like flashbacks where I was in that room. So I'm happy to say that we're going to provide that too. It's just like another option, right? It's always good to have multiple listening options. That's what the pros do, right? They got like 4 and 5 different listening options, and then it's still going to do the truck and the car mix, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to have listening options too. So we'll probably we're between like Adams and JBLs, I think, but we'll have one of those, and then we'll have the Waves option as well, which will give you 4 different listening choices in that. We'll have acoustic treatment in the room. So we'll have clouds, panels, rugs in all the rooms. So they'll still have kind of a live feel, but it'll be acoustically treated. You're not going to have big bass jumping around at you everywhere and all that. I think that kind of wraps it up for gear. Our PA is stupid loud. It's the one that I took on tour with me twice. I've blown out house windows with it. So yeah, you're going to have a great time listening to that one when we do have live shows. Yeah. It's gonna be a good time. I try really hard to make sure that like anything I put in there is something that I want to use, right? Sure. I know we have all been to studios where we're just like, what is this janky stuff, right? And it's not fun. It immediately kills your vibe, it kills your creativity. It just kind of puts a wet blanket on the whole day, right? So I want to make sure that when you walk in, you stay excited to play your music, right? Or if you're not having a good day, you come in and you're in a place where you can just kind of dump all that out and get back to where you are, So
let's say, all goes well, expectations are exceeded. What kind of real impact do you see this having on the local scene?
Oh, man. Okay. If we're talking about, like, it just hits my wildest dreams, right? The impact on the scene would be that music as a whole in Pasco, in Hernando, in North Pinellas, even maybe as far up as, like, Citrus, right? That, like, independent music just starts popping off again, right? The reason it's seems like so many bands just sprout up out of St. Pete and out of Tampa is because like they got places to meet up and do the thing, right? It's so much easier to create a band if I can be like, hey, Rumble, you want to meet up over at this spot I got? Yeah, dude. As opposed to, hey, man, can we make loud music? Oh, not in my place. I live in an apartment. Oh, well, my neighbors are real jerks, man. You can't do that in my garage. You know what I mean? If we put the resource there, then by planting that seed, something grows, right? So my goal, and I mean, certainly like I said, in my wildest dreams where it's super successful, it's just exploding. We got bands left and right. We got venues that all of a sudden are like, oh man, I need to start booking this original music because I'm losing out on all this money because these people are drawn on all these other places, right? I hope that all these kava bars and Johnny's Smoke Shops and VFW shows explode so much that like all these bars and restaurants just go, dang, what have I been missing out on? Yeah. Like, I'm so sorry that like I've never paid attention to independent music, right? Because covers is cool, and I'm happy that cover bands make money too because they're musicians and they eat, and I'm happy about it, right? But like I want to see all the musicians do well, right? And certainly cover bands need a place to do things too, right? Yeah, what I mean? My dad plays in a cover band, and he was asking me the other day, he's like, hey man, like where do I get stuff recorded? Like they need resources just as much, right? But if we don't have anything like that in Pasco, the moment you got to get in your car and drive 30 minutes to Tampa, drive 30 minutes to St. Pete, it just, all that creativity goes out the window, right? All that excitement goes out the window. And certainly the logistics of getting anybody to meet up with you is that much harder, right? It's so fun to know that like you're playing in a band with your homies down on the block, right? Yeah. That's such a cool feeling. You can't have that if you have to stretch yourself so thin going places. So hopefully by planting this seed in Pasco and trying to grow a hub, we can just start seeing more and more of like what we know is already here to just sprout and explode and take off, and that'd be really cool, we got tons of car washes.
Yeah.
We got tons of, fast food going in left and right and pop-up apartment complexes and all that stuff. And like, hooray, Pasco is growing, right? But it doesn't feel like the soul is growing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like the character's growing. It just feels like the stuff is growing.
Right.
Right. And I'm trying to do something where I really believe that if we can make this work, then like the soul and the character, the things that are represented with arts and culture are going to start actually being present here,
I hear you. Awesome. So going forward from where you are right now, is there anything that you're still working on? Any challenges you're currently facing getting this started?
I mean, going forward, of course, as a startup, money is always the obvious one. Mm. So where we're at in the funding stage is we have a little bit of seed money that, saved up hard for. But then we have in progress with Pasco County a microloan application, which is part of their small business incubator program that they have called Smart Start. So if people believe in our process right now, the best thing I could say is like, hey, follow us on all the socials and go bug the Pasco Economic Development Council because they value your input if you're a resident of Pasco. And they're going to be deciding on whether or not they'd like to back the project, which is a significant amount of funding. And it's funding that, honestly, we wouldn't be able to otherwise get. So that would be really cool. We have some grants in progress, from arts grants, as well as some community grants. So as those maybe trickle in, that will be also great funding. In terms of the overall process, though, once we're kind of like in a spot where we have the funding, right? We have the location kind of unlocked, so we'll be able to move in. Hopefully this process all kind of occurs fairly quickly. And then we should be opening, fingers crossed, we should be opening like February 2nd. Okay. So that would be really exciting. I'm believing it. There's been a whole bunch of things that have kind of all fallen into place in terms of resources. We have gear acquired. We have a location identified. We're starting to build our client base, right? We're getting people that are saying, hey, look, we believe in it. We're committed to it. So also that's another way. If you're a band and you want to get in on something like this, I have an incentive that we will be coming out with very soon. And that incentive is that literally I am chopping off like 60% of the initial cost of joining. And I am freezing that rate for you for 3 years. And I know that that's a big deal because we live in uncertain times and inflation and all that crap. And I hate even saying uncertain times. That's such an annoying phrase, right? Yeah. But like inflation's a real thing, right? Inflation's a real thing and it sucks. And I think it's important that if you're going to come with me on this journey, right? If you're going to believe in me, then I need to reward people who believe in me, right? Sure. So like, I'm going to freeze that rate for 3 years. I'm going to commit to it, right? We're going to be in it together. So, let's do it together. Like I will do my part and try to make it as accessible as I can for you as a thank you for saying, yeah, let's get going on this. So, if you're in a band and you're wanting to jump in on that, follow us on social media, send me a message, and I will get you on my list. Because that list is going to be limited. I am going to limit it to 100 people. So basically the first 100 people, I'm going to just do ridiculous things for, because I think it's important. In the Navy, they have a term for that. It's called a plank owner. You are a part of that ship when it first set sails, right? And I think it's important to kind of mirror some of that with our community. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happens, right? And a lot of people like to run their mouth about it, but they have no skin in the game, right? And that's really convenient. I'm not one of those people, when I say something, I'm going to do it. And I have done it every time. And I will continue to. And so I'm going to commit to people that believe in me, So if you're a band and you want to get in on that, I absolutely will take care of you. And I'm going to make that commitment to you that we're going to freeze that rate. And as a thank you for believing in this project. So hopefully, that maybe garners some interest and some buzz. But I believe it's truly something that people are wanting in our area, and I believe that if I put it here, it's only just going to grow and foster into really good stuff. So
all right. And speaking more to the public here than speaking to me, what can people, the musicians, what can they do? Anyone who just believes in it, what can people do to help?
Yeah. Certainly tell all your friends, hey, this is a really cool small business, right? Like I said, bug the Pasco Economic Development Council. We're going to have open house when we do get opened. I would certainly love to see y'all there. We will absolutely have merch, because what's a band without merch, right? So we know the music game. We're going to have merch, and it'll be fun merch. So, it'll be something you want to wear, something fashionable, but certainly stickers and shirts and things like that and hats will help go towards the project. So if you want to do that, if you just feel philanthropic as all get out because you're a cool rich baller with deep pockets, first off, I love you, and what's your social security number? But secondly, I'm sure we'll put like a tip jar donation kind of box thing, just like hey, look, if you want to donate to the arts, just in general, we're not a nonprofit, but we do good things. If it's something you just believe in, cool, and maybe we can find a way to compensate you for that in some other fashion. I'm sure we'll do things too, like raffles and giveaways and stuff like that too. One of my other humongous goals, but is super important to me, is I want to make an annual commitment to giving to certain charities. One of them is Punk Rock Saves Lives. And another one's going to be like a music ed foundation. I haven't picked which one yet, but both of those things are important to me, because I feel like as successful as I hope we are, I want to that much also do my part in giving to someone else.
Sure.
Right. I truly do get satisfaction in just like giving to others. So I hope that another way that we can all work together is that, we can, whatever things come in, right, I hope to just give them right back out. So.
All right. I think I'm fresh out of questions.
Oh, well.
You got anything? You want to tack on?
Honestly, if you're about it, the best way that you can help, besides all those things I just said, is go make friends with some local musicians and go watch a set. Go buy the t-shirt. Go take the sticker and slap it on a police car. Whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, just go out there and start experiencing some new art and new music, because you could spend $1,000 and see Taylor Swift, which, she is like my future ex-wife in an alternate timeline. Thanks Harambe for ruining that for me. But you could spend $1,000 at an arena show, or you could spend $15-20 and have your life change up close and personal.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, even after you've done all the other cool stuff and you helped me out and you helped your homies out, like, go watch something new.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for The Raven coming February of 2024. Check out Will's band Side Piece, and also stay tuned